All right, today's video. What is your job as a professional trader or as a trader? Like, what is your actual job? Think about an answer to this question as I'm writing it out here. What is your job as a trader? What is it? What's an analogy? How do you describe it? Or you trade the markets? What do you do? So what does that mean? Right? So I think this question is super important, and answering it the right way is really important. And I'll say that because, by the way, welcome in. Much love. If you find it useful, leave a comment. Thumbs up. A little bit messy here, but these are all my study materials I'm going through. Yeah, this video is super important because for the longest time, I didn't understand what my job was as a trader. Now I do. And it's easy now, and now trading is the best part of my day. It's so much fun. I love my life. Everything's aligned. I love my job, right? Right before I didn't understand. I didn't understand why I was drawn to it. I didn't understand what I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to be doing. And I'd have periods where I'd do well and periods where I'd struggle. But so before I tell you what your job is as a trader, some of the common ideas are your job is to analyze the markets. Okay. Your job is to execute a system. Your job is to gamble, or your job is to manage risk. For a while I thought, like, okay, my job as a trader is to be like a detective. I'm gonna be a detective. My job as a trader is to be a fireman. Respond to emergencies, like respond to alerts. I also had the thought that my job as a trader is to be like a system developer. And you can look at variations of these, and there's truth to some of them, but I think what's most effective is, and the best analogy here. So we'll start with the analogy before I tell you what the job is. But your job as a trader, the closest thing that we can compare it to is a professional athlete. So we need to look at professional athletes. And this is something that I've been talking about and going back on over and over. Thinking of yourself as a professional athlete, right? So it's a similar thing where you're in an extremely competitive field. There's a huge amount of money on the line and at risk. And you're paid for the metrics and performance you put up and whether you win in a very short period of time, right? Again, an NFL player plays 15, 16 regular season games. How long are they on the field? An offensive player, I don't know, what is it, like 45 minutes? NBA player plays 30 minutes, regular season, 80 times a year. That's a top guy. The top guys play 30-something minutes. Rotation player, who may still make millions, might play 15, 20 minutes a night, 80 times, and you're paid for that. So, there's a similar thing to think with trading. You're paid to trade your session, however that is. And there's a case that I keep making is the shorter your session, the better, because you're paid for quality and not for quantity. And the best way to keep your quality the highest is to actually reduce your quantity. And I'm not saying necessarily reduce the number of trades you take, but reduce the time that you're working. Take all your trades in that time when you're at your peak performance. So that's what we're going to get to. Even though a professional athlete, what is a professional athlete's job? A professional athlete's job is to perform in a peak state in their particular sport for the duration of the game. Now, part of their job as well, in the background though, is even though they're only being paid for the results of 30 minutes, their whole life goes towards those 30 minutes. The elite guys, typically, they're allocating 10 to 12 hours for sleep. LeBron James, Tiger Woods, Michael Phelps, Roger Federer, Tom Brady, these guys. sleep 8 to 10 hours a night, allocate more time, naps, whatever. They might do train for 6 hours, related physical training, working on skills. And then they might study. They might study film and related, maybe read related books for a couple hours. Maybe do visualization exercises. Obviously, their diet matters. And they come in, and then they perform for 30 minutes. And what happens when the game's over? Immediately start getting ready for the next game. Spend an hour maybe dissecting, ruminating, but clean up, dinner, sleep, train, keep it going. So your job as a trader is the same as a professional athlete, and it is to get into a peak state for your session. And for a trader, I mean, you can see why it's so much easier to trade one session one time a day, trading the daily chart. Because if your job is to get into a peak state once a day, it's a lot easier than trying to get into a peak state 5, 6, 7 times a day, right? As a firefighter, whatever it is, ambulance driver. Shift workers don't make good decisions, right? So your job as a trader is to get into the peak state you can every day that you trade, which for most traders is Monday through Friday for the session, whatever it is. Whether you're a day trader, scalper, or swing trader, it's the same thing. You're trading a session, and your job is to get into a peak state for that. Now, part of getting into a peak state is building up the actual confidence. Even if my session today was an hour, but started the day before as soon as my previous session ended. I studied charts 3 times in between, journal, meditate, thought about what I was looking for coming in today and the things that I was looking for. Was reading related content, right? But maybe more important, have an hour ring, tracking my sleep. Have a $2,000 bed cooling device. Have $600 silk sheets. And you don't need all that. I'm saying put a priority on your sleep. Sleeping between 8 and 9 hours a night. Of time being asleep. Allocating 10 hours, but I'll sleep for 8.5. Going to sleep, waking up at the same time every night. Turning my phone off at 6 p.m. Turning my computer off at 11 a.m. So I'm in this deep physiological recovery where I don't even have the dopamine in my phone. I'm just reading, relaxing, right? Sunlight in the morning. Eat a great meal in the evening and lunch. Understanding your circadian rhythm. Waking up with high testosterone. Increasing your testosterone by lifting heavy weights in the morning. Walking, exercising. Doing breathing exercises. Change your temperature. I happen to swim in the ocean. Maybe go for a bike ride. Listen to music that makes me feel good. All this happening coming into my 30-minute, 1-hour session. I work and execute for 30 minutes to an hour. That's my entire trading day. But I'm immediately looking forward to the next trading session and preparing and getting ready. Part of that is being social, right? Going outside, going on hikes, hanging out with people, company, playing music, doing fun things. But there isn't any room for staying up late. There's no room for alcohol. There's no room for weed. I personally don't drink caffeine. There's not a lot of room for drama and stress. Right? So, your job is to get into not just a peak state for the day, but like the peak state you can get in your life. Like the peak physiology, your absolute sharpest, your absolute smartest, your absolute strongest, your most relaxed yet energized state. That's your job. And for me, that's such a dream job. I'm so stoked on that. Like, yes, I want to be a professional athlete. I wanted to be a professional athlete. Here I can live like a professional athlete and get paid like one. And my sport is trading. But the cross training that I do for it is surfing, basketball, weightlifting, walking the dog, farming, super physical active lifestyle, study, deep study, purpose, and competition. So your job as a trader, the closest analogy is a professional athlete. I will say, like, you have to be a coach and an athlete. However, if there's one other thing, like the system developer, you have to create a system or adapt a system that suits you. But once that's done, you don't necessarily need to ever update your system if it's a good system. Markets don't really change that much if your system is really good. Individual markets might change for a time, but people don't change. People's emotions don't change. So once you have your system, now you're a professional athlete, and every day you're trying to get into a peak state to execute your session. As soon as the session is over, you forget about it, and you focus on getting ready for peak performance the next day. I don't know about you guys, but I'm fucking stoked on that. That's awesome. I love that. Super happy about it, and I love what that means, because I mean the process of getting peak state is expressing yourself fully to God, right? Being the best you can be, living the cleanest life you can, being the most fit, the most healthy, the smartest, being the me. It's a dream. Like, hell yeah, I want to do this. Yeah. So that's what it is. And if you're excited about watching this, get excited, because that's really what it is. It's not about being a fireman. That's the worst analogy, because you're not paid for work. You're not paid for putting out fires. You're paid for being sharp for 30 minutes a day. Having disrupted sleep makes you stupid. So you cannot be responding to alerts. Anyways, hope you find that useful. If you do, please comment down below. Much love. Talk to you soon. Peace.